This meeting is being recorded.
Huh. Mhm. I've been getting a little bit of feedback that suggested that we can get a bit philosophical sometimes, and the suggestion was that we focus more on one person at a time and go a little bit deeper than what we have been going with that person. Now I don't know how that'll work out, but it's just the idea that how can I put it? We might stop a little bit early with people and move on. I don't know if that makes sense. And I don't know what will happen, but
yeah.
Makes perfect sense, Vince, but the eye that's sitting this end of the camera is terrified.
Oh, well, that's probably a good thing, eh?
We shall see. We shall see.
Yeah. Part of what that idea that says is that, you know, you might well leave this meeting today, James, awake, because we won't let you off the hook.
Yes.
Morning, Terry.
Morning, Vince.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. I don't know why sometimes this meeting starts at 1 p.m. Pacific time, and sometimes it starts at 11 a.m., but at least we have this nice system for converting times. Can figure it out.
Yeah, I was having fun. I've been using one called dateful.com, and what I discovered recently was that when I put in local time, it says local time for where I am. It doesn't put in daylight saving time, which is what we are on at the moment. So it just put, so I've got to, if I specify AEDT, Australian Eastern Daylight Time, then it'll do it. But anyway, so I've switched to a different one that shows it in a different way, which might be a bit easier. But yeah, there's been a lot of confusion about this time zone stuff with daylight saving changing everything. Yeah, I turned up at a meeting yesterday an hour
We
late.
just ended.
Yeah. So, David, how are you? Well, tell us where you are, David. You're a new face to me. Tell me where you're up to in this.
I'm from Israel, Tel Aviv. Well, not Tel Aviv, but close to.
So I
And
missed
your
that.
team?
Your audio is a little bit low for me.
Yeah, I'm from Israel.
That's better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I hear you say you're
Actually,
from Israel?
yes, I am.
Yep.
Yeah, we talked a little bit on email about the website, if you remember.
No, I don't remember.
No, never mind. I offered if he needed some help with fixing the menus and that stuff because
Yeah, yes, thank you. Yes, got it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So nice to meet you. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your offer too. Yeah, I do
My
need
pleasure.
to jazz it up a little bit, but it's a slow work in progress.
Mhm.
So where are you up to on this particular journey?
Well, I've been trying to like book the first feather for quite a while, and I have my moments of clarity and times when I say, of course, there's no one here. It seems so obvious,
Yeah.
but there's still a lot of doubt and still something is kind of missing. I think a little bit of what I find, I've had a few years back on a mushroom trip when that was obvious that back then it was so clear that there was nothing, like no space, no time. So I remember how vividly I knew it from the bottom of my heart. There is no separation with nothing. So I think part of the problem, part of what I'm going through right now is that still a lot of doubt and still nothing like clicked, no change.
Okay. You say there's a lot of doubt, and I don't doubt that for a moment. But the, we talk about that like doubt is almost a thing that is there, but the reality is, of course, that it comes and goes, and it intensifies and decreases in intensity. Eh? Is that true?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would say that doubt is actually like part. Sometimes I, believe in the thought of me, like I'm taking that place of me, what I think about this person. And in moments of clarity is when I see it's not me, that there's a thought of a me, a thought of a me that thinks that about someone else.
Yeah. Hmm. Doubt's an interesting one because there's Panilla talks about this in a really lucid way, and there's a couple of kinds of doubt, if you know what I mean. Well, if you know what I mean, that's a stupid thing to say. But there's an intellectual doubt and there's an emotional doubt, and they come they're different, you know. So the intellectual one is where you use reasoning, of course, and you come to a conclusion that, I'm not sure about this. The emotional doubt is that feeling one, I feel unsure, or I feel sure as you get through that. It can send you back to sleep. You can end up going, this is too much to stay with, and let it go. But if you do nothing with doubt, rather than try and do something with it, it will fade. It will go away. I'm always a bit astounded when people and other guides here will contradict me because they do it differently. But I'm always a bit astounded when somebody who's seen that there is no self has to keep going back and checking that what they've seen is true. If you want something out of the refrigerator and you open the refrigerator and look and it's not there and you shut the door, pretty likely you're going to go back and look again and again and again to see that it's not there.
Yeah, I know.
Once you've seen it once and it's been clear, why would you ever doubt it again? What goes on?
I've asked myself the same question, and I think perhaps it's not clear enough. Perhaps.
No, it's not that. It's not that at all. It was clear. I mean, it was really clear on your mushroom trip. What it is old habits coming back, right? Because this new way of looking at things contradicts a lot of the old ways.
Yeah.
And it's just that familiarity with old stuff that we seek all the time. That's part of the nature of being human. It's an energy saving thing to know something and do it automatically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the good thing here today is that you'll get to express things that you've only thought about before, and there's quite a few. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, yeah, 4 or 5 guides here, people who are guiding at LU. And then there's other people in somewhat similar situations to you or variations of that. So it's a great place to dive in and clarify things for yourself.
Amazing.
It will happen. Yeah. And when I get sick of hearing my voice, I'll ask somebody else to talk to you about that.
David, it comes here at the moment. You were saying that you do realise that there's no I, there's no me.
Maybe that's a good because well, lately I've been looking more and more, and the eyes, like I can see it from all sorts of angles. It's like when let's take something that hit me quite a while ago, that the whole notion of ownership or owning something. So that became clear at one point, that there's no one owning. It's just like structure that is built in the mind. And then I moved a little bit to senses, which in hearing, it's a little bit easier than seeing. Like, okay, of course that's not me hearing. It's just sound and idea of a me that hears. That also I kind of clicked. Seeing is a little bit different because I still can't okay, so there is me seeing whatever I'm seeing here, but there is no one back here, and it's like I'm still playing with it. Okay, so let's see what reality feels like if there's no one here that is seen. It's not like clear, completely clear. And
That's still using logic. You're still saying,
yeah,
if this, if that, then that kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah.
One of the exercises that I use is called I just call it the cup exercise. So I use a cup, and you put it on the table and you look at it, and you look at it, and look at it, and you look at it, and you really, really look at it, and you just watch what your thoughts say, and you just watch what's going on as you look at it. And it's easy to follow mentally, this thing. So you can imagine that when you start looking at it and the thoughts start to slow down about, well, maybe I should go and do something else, or maybe, this needs to be happening or whatever. And then you really focus on what you're looking at. And then you go, well, I'm looking at a cup, which is another mental one. I'm looking at a cup, and it's my favorite cup, or it's not my favorite cup, or whatever. And that'll slow down. And then eventually what you'll be seeing is just colors and texture and shape, right? And what will happen if you keep doing it and with the right intention is that you'll stop labeling those things. You won't be saying texture is smooth or rough. You won't be saying color is white or whatever. What you'll be doing is seeing colors that are actually inexpressible in words. The subtlety of them, the variation of the color, the texture will be variable as well. It'll stop being a cup and it will just be what you are seeing. And then I ask people to ask themselves the question, who is seeing? And when you ask that question, what will happen is that you will stop seeing in order to think about who is seeing. And when that's sunk in a little, I get you to ask the question, what is it that you are seeing? And the same thing will happen. You will stop seeing those details in order to think about what is seen. And the logical conclusion from that is that what you are seeing and who is seeing are only mental constructs. That in fact, all there is seeing.
That's the comments.
The verb seeing. Yeah. So now you've got the outline of that exercise. When this meeting's finished or at some point, it'd be a great one to do, to actually experience that. Yeah.
Yes.
And once you get that, all there is the verb. Whatever the happening is the verb. There is no body happening, and it's not happening because of anything external. It's just happening. Yeah. That takes a bit of getting used to. Because all of our conditioning, our language says there's got to be a subject and an object.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'll get off my soapbox. Sorry, Alan, I could have been there.
No, not at all, Vince. It's beautiful. I was just going to point out that, and here it requires the inner guide to really tell us that we're telling the truth, but sometimes we can get caught up in the old habits that Vince was pointing to, and because we have the experience of getting caught by the illusion, and then we see ourselves getting caught, we still say, well, I'm not seeing properly because I'm still getting caught. There's a real need to be honest about, I do realize there's no self. I totally recognize that, because that's what our you is about, that recognition, not being completely free of the feeling of there is an I sometimes. No matter who you talk to, Vince talks about it himself. I get caught and I laugh. So we just need to be careful there too, that we're not expecting to be totally clear of any moment when we feel that we've been caught in the illusion. We need to be honest about that too.
But help me out a bit here. So even after you see clearly, you still get caught, but it's like an instant release. It's like easier release, or it's like because I tell you what am I asking? So I have like moments that I get caught with what, and then I say, okay, so who is afraid to talk? Like let's say that I came here and I had like a moment of like feeling, oh, what would they think about me if I say that, this, and then I had the same like, okay, who is afraid to talk? And then it was clear there's no one that is afraid to talk. That there was a fearful thought about a person, So, but I'm not sure if it's that like trying to mentalize it, like trying to logically explain it, or it's...
You're missing a really, really important thing here. You're downplaying or not even noticing the fact that you recognize you've been caught.
Yeah, I don't know. Can you say more a little bit? What do you mean?
Sure. Yeah. Well, again, our culture, and even though we're from different countries and everything, we kind of share a Western culture, and part of that culture says you don't get anything without working for it. You've got to earn whatever it is. Well, that's bullshit. The fact that you recognize that you've been caught, where did that recognition come from? Right? You're responding to the recognition by working, by getting into the idea that, oh, well, I'll have to check and see if there's a self here again or whatever. Okay, in order to feel good about it. You don't. Simply seeing it is all it takes to dissolve it. And there's no doing involved. You don't have to do the dissolving. You didn't do the recognizing. It just happened. So when that recognition pops up, if you know what I'm talking about, and you will from now on, the moment that you see what's going on, it will change. You can then go, oh, well, I have to do this and this and this in order to clarify what's going on to get what I'm after. But that's a diversion. That's getting away from what needs to be done, which is absolutely nothing. The thought came because of conditions. The fact that you're interested in this, the fact that you've been reading and doing whatever it is you've been doing on this journey, that set it up for the thought to arise. So the thought arises, you see what's going on, and really absolutely nothing else needs to happen. So what I say is laugh. The celebration of the recognition is something, maybe it's not that necessary for you because you do recognize. But in order to have that recognition happen quicker, I suggest you celebrate it, and you do that by having a laugh. If you're by yourself, laugh out loud. If you're with somebody else, just mentally laugh. You know, just like you are now. Do that. That celebration is like giving a dog a treat when you're trying to train it. You know, so it means that it'll happen again quicker and easier, and so on. Yeah. So the idea that just seeing it changes things is a really, really big one. Yeah. And just to put things in context for you, you know, like I woke up about 12 years ago and I still get caught. So it happens, you know, so what? It happens. It doesn't mean anything. It's just old habits. And it can take a long time for old habits to fade.
Yeah.
And if I get caught, I don't go looking for a self again. Well, I never did anyway, but that's another story. Yeah.
But I feel like the moments of clarity are so minor in my day. It's only when I'm really inquiring. So perhaps, for me, it's like just 5% of the day that I'm noticing, and the structure that gets built by thoughts. And then I say, okay, of course it's, so it's like trying to expand that to more of my life.
Yeah. Again, trying is not what you want to do. right? When you go trying to do things, what you do is you reinforce the opposite. Be patient.
I'm inquiring into every
Yeah,
situation.
when you're putting effort to trying to achieve something, this is not an achievement. When you're not awake, I guess it can be seen like an achievement, and it can be seen like you've got to put effort into and work to get there, but you don't. That's exactly the reason that stops you from being awake. Be relaxed. You don't control what happens. See, so there you go. Trying to do something to do it, you're feeding into the illusion of control.
Yeah.
Right? I guess at some point you recognize that you don't really have control about what thoughts turn up or what happens. It's just the way things work.
Yeah.
Help me out here, Phil.
Yeah, so I would say like it's not about a particular experience. You talked about your moments of clarity, and can be a sense that you need to kind of get back to that, and it's can be a sense that you're chasing that. It's not about experience at all, really. Like it can be that like there are experiences of clarity, but they're more of a side effect of this clear seeing, really. I think probably I think like we've done in the past, the best way to kind of approach this is to maybe inquire into into how your experience is now. So is you experiencing any kind of doubt at this moment about, you said the doubt, it sounds like doubts is where you're stuck with this, that you're not sure, maybe is kind of,
well,
what kind of doubts are coming up for you?
It's I'm not sure, how what life should be after I see, I'm trying to like gather for, what I'm hearing. People talk about living without a center and knowing that that clear seeing that there is no one here. And when I inquire, I can say, okay, sure, don't find anything, just sounds. Sensation is a little bit easier because sensation is, of course, not me, like I'm touching my head, not me touching my head, no me and no touching and no head, just sensation to be. So it kind of makes, when that's kind of the experiences when the whole idea of a self kind of, doesn't make any sense at all. But in normal life, when I'm talking, so nothing has changed, in my life. So that's my perspective. So I would expect
You're expecting something to change.
Yep.
Yeah. That's probably where you're getting stuck. So you're not accepting what is happening now. You're expecting to have to, and how would that show up? What you're expecting? You're expecting it to show up as an understanding, as to finally something to click and you'll know something.
Yes.
It won't come like that at all. The mind, that's just what the mind, you're not going to get a click in the mind. It's not going to be something you've understood. It doesn't make sense like that. It doesn't make sense at all to the mind. That's why it's so funny, I think, where there can be laughter that comes because it doesn't make sense at all. Even laughter doesn't make sense even. It doesn't mean anything. It just happens by itself. And it's like a release. It's kind of like an energetic release, if anything. So bringing your attention back into what's presently here is always a good place to be. So that could be what sensations are here now, and but also just being curious about your thoughts, and ask just if you doubt that there's no self, why do you doubt that? What would your experience be if you didn't doubt that thought? Not as a way to try and form a conclusion, but just to sort of be curious about how would it, even to imagine what it would be like without the thought of doubting that there's a real self here. What is there, like a feeling underneath that doubt, like a rejection of this moment? Like you said, you're expecting something to happen. Is there like a sense that, more like a feeling that this isn't right, or I don't want this, or is there a sense that something's not, that this isn't accepted as it is already? Could it be that you're not accepting something in the moment?
No, I don't think it's that. It's you know, when I look at things, it seems, you know, like a new perspective of how things are. You know, how thoughts create something that is not here. You know, that there is a scene of it. Like it's like I'm sitting here, and I feel sensations in my body, and you know, I have the thought, I'm feeling that, and when I, you know, look at it, there's no me that is feeling that. It's just a feeling. So my expectation is for that to be like clear most of the time. I don't know.
Sounds pretty clear to me already. So why is there a doubt that it's not clear?
I'm hearing
What's that?
expectations.
What's that? What's the doubt based on? What are you expecting to be different?
I don't know. Maybe it's just because it only you know, just for few moments in my day. I was expecting something to be more complete and more.
Okay, let's clear up something about expectations. Let's say, Seb, how many times during a normal day would you say to yourself, would the thought arise to you, I'm awake and that's why this is happening? Does it happen to you during the day normally?
Not really.
No.
No. Just like I don't notice, I don't know, that I'm a father unless I'm provoked, or that I have a father, or that I have a leg, or whatever.
Yep. How many times a day, Paul, would you tell yourself that you're awake? Paul Simpson.
Oh, I don't think of that at all. I don't think.
Exactly. Yep. So what's this expectation that you've got that David, that you're going to go, that you're going to be, yeah? It's like, it's that mountains are mountains, then mountains are not mountains, then mountains are mountains again. Okay. Well, you're in the mountains are not mountains stage, but when you get to mountains are mountains again, life is absolutely normal in one way. You can compare it to those who are not awake, but we don't do that. That comparison doesn't normally happen.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely doing what you do during a normal day, you know, but probably doing it a little bit lighter. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what other expectations have you got? You expecting any magic to occur?
Yeah. No, but I think maybe these are like later, later feathers or whatever. But the whole idea of time and space, I can see how these are not. These are just set up by the mind.
Yeah.
I can sense that, and in moments of clarity, I can also, get to, oh, okay, of course, it's just built by the mind, how I'm something that travels in time, that there is.
Yeah.
It's just change. It's not something. It's not time.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, expectation. I'm expecting for me to like grasp that.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Look, here's another little rave. What we're talking about is we have the relative and we have the absolute. So if we're talking about the world out there, other people, the so-called objective stuff, we don't actually know anything about that. We think we do. The mind wants to define things, but we don't.
Mm-hmm.
And if you consider that an insect that sees things in a totally different light spectrum than humans, and dogs are different again, that everybody who sees the same object, all of these different species see the same object in a totally different way. So what is actually there is just unknown. We don't know. We've got no idea what it actually is. What we do know, and I use those words loosely, is our perception.
How we call it.
And our perception is an interpretation that is unique to each person simply because of a lifetime of experience and conditioning. It means that every single person on the planet that's ever lived is unique and perceives things in a unique way. And that's the relative. That's what we're talking about completely. We're not even interested in what's actually out there because it's unknowable.
Yeah.
But what we are interested in is what our perception is. And then what we've got is we've got language that insists on a subject and an object. What we've got in language is we've got abstract nouns and concrete nouns. And the concrete noun is like we pretend that we actually know something, that something is an object, it is a thing outside of us. But the abstract nouns, they're just concepts that we put on things for the convenience of communication, for language purposes. The problem is, and this is the whole thing with what we're doing here, is we're debunking the abstract nouns from the idea that they're concrete nouns. So we're recognizing that something is a concept and not actually a thing. Like, I don't know, like any of the social things like morality or like responsibility, they're not things.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. They're social constructs.
Yes, it's very obvious.
I forgot why I climbed onto that soapbox, but I'll get off now.
David,
Yeah.
this realization that there's no me, can you just point to an approximate time frame when that became apparent?
I would not say that I became apparent,
Right.
but it seems apparent, sometimes. Lately more than before.
Before.
Lately more than like in the last few weeks, let's say.
The last few weeks. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
One of the other aspects just to notice is this question of reactivity. Once we see that there's no I, and that becomes part of our deeper knowing, if you will, one of the things that tends to happen is there's less what we can call reactivity. So there's the thinking aspect of realizing there's no I, and then there's the feeling aspect as well. And one of the things that happens when the I starts to really dissolve is that there's less and less possibility that things can stick. So you're in a conversation with someone, and it may be something that you had a very strong opinion about in the past, but now it doesn't create the flare up so quickly, or as much, or you can just let it pass. So that's something else just to take notice of. I don't know whether anyone else would like to comment on that, but that emotional reaction, you say, it's different. I don't know what's going on, but I don't get upset so quickly. It doesn't mean that you'll never get upset. You get these spurts now and again when some button is hit, but that's a chance to look in again and say, what's going on? Does that make sense?
I understand exactly what you mean, and in a way, I can see that how things that used to bother me, maybe I can see through them, and I can see it's just something that is built up in my mind. But just an hour ago, I was just sitting upstairs with my daughter, and she annoyed me about something, so trivial and nothing. So, and then I say to myself, okay, I still get super caught up about nonsense. So, it's not still a ton of activities. So.
I'd like to introduce another possibility here for you, and that is that when you do get triggered by your daughter or anything, it's great. It's an opportunity for you to look at what's going on. That's a really big thing. So we normally just want to change it. We want to get away from it. We want it not to happen. But the time will come when you will welcome shit whenever it turns up. It's an opportunity. Yeah.
And you will enjoy it as well. The thing is that you probably expect that you will be floating above everything that is happening, and you will be like, I don't know, peaceful and quiet. But there comes a time that you kind of miss that involvement in that shit, and you allow yourself having fun in that. Even that even includes anger, suffering, fear, whatever there is. Really, you are just okay with that.
Yeah,
so
nice.
It's like with these mountains that don't change. They really don't. It's just the kind of a perception of the mountain that changes.
So there's a bit of a paradox there, because as the reactivity changes, we become more sensitive to what's happening, and as Seb says, oh, let me get into this, and it even feels more acute. It even feels more acute. So the reactivity is reducing, but it feels more acute. I mean, how do you explain that? It's a real paradox.
Yeah, I can definitely relate. The more I get into it, the more I can see how much I'm triggered. I had no idea. I was just so fearful and angry. Absolutely oblivious to all of that.
And you say you're not seeing.
Alan asks what.
Sorry.
Yeah, Alan asks how you explain that. Well, you don't. That's the thing. That's the main topic here. That if you try to explain anything, that you're engaging your brain and your mind to work. That's not the mind's work. I mean, it will not work it out. That's the thing. And to allow your mind not to have to work on that, or allow it to work on that if it wants to, whatever. Just let it be. That's the thing. You don't have to work it out. There is no reason to do that. It's the expression, the role of the mind, its goal to understand, to work things out, to create and solve problems. And there is nothing to solve here. That's it, basically. But it's very difficult to kind of, I don't know, I don't want to get philosophical, but it's difficult to transcend the mind, kind of. I don't want to trigger Vince here. But it's kind of the thing. We are constantly trying to, even if we communicate, we are using the mind, we are using the language. So we have to use the mind. You can't use the language without using the mind. It's just the chain of I don't know, of tools that you need to engage to express whatever you are expressing. But in everyday life, so-called life, you just don't do that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to understand everything. You don't have to expect anything, and you don't have to come to realize anything. Just, yeah, allowing that to happen without resistance, kind of. That is really nothing. That there is just kind of think about how many people during centuries, even thousands of years, tried to express that through language. How many succeeded?
Yeah.
It's an impossible task. It's not achievable at all on the level of the mind. It is impossible. If it was possible, everybody would be, I don't know, woke, whatever, awakened. Woke is not the word, I don't think. So it is really, it's kind of not that level. That's another wrong word to express that. But there are no good words. Every single word will be just a pointer that will get to someone, and to the other one, it will lead astray the other person. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Can I jump into here?
Yes, please.
Can I say something? Can you hear me? Okay. This is so right on. So right on. Thursday I was on a Zoom call, and a good friend of mine went on and on and on and on and on about something, and she was a little drunk, and finally I just said, "Shut the fuck up." And I don't normally do that. I mean, I usually, it just shocked the hell out of me, because I can normally just sit back and let, realize, oh, it's nothing. So I've been triggered for the last 3 days because I did that. And so the mind, which I'm seeing from what this conversation is going to, I'm making all kind of excuses. I'm trying to evaluate it. I'm trying to think, what was it that triggered me? I mean, I got all these freaking stories in my head, but it was a big trigger, and it's lasted for 3 days, and I'm just starting to see, I don't know what I'm starting to see, that it's all crazy.
But the 3 days of triggering, they get you emotionally. It's not like something that passes.
Yeah.
All right.
I'd like to introduce here the idea that a feeling is a sensation plus a story. And so what we're talking about here are stories. We tell ourselves these stories, or they happen. These stories happen that we get into. So Kathleen's being triggered an emotion, which again is a sensation plus a story. But then a whole lot of other stories ever since have been going around and around, trying to do something with it.
Trying to
Because
do something with it.
there's that underlying unexpressed story that there was something wrong with what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I don't want it to happen again. So I'm trying to figure out what the trigger was so that I can, again, story, I guess.
Yeah.
Do I not look for the trigger? I mean, should I just laugh it
No,
off?
yeah, no, you're just making a
It was
whole
pretty
job out of
serious.
something. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
if you didn't have to find a way to protect yourself in the future? Sounds like that could be why you're trying to think about it. You said you don't want it to happen again. Do you think that by thinking about it, it'll be a way to protect yourself from feeling hurt or whatever from experiencing this again?
I don't want
Is
to
this a
repeat
main?
it again. I don't want to repeat that
Yeah.
again. I don't want a resistance. Okay. I'm usually really easygoing. I mean, I go with the flow, and I am so. I mean, that's phew, for me to jump out and say that. I mean, it was. I mean, I didn't hold anything back. I
Okay.
literally told her to shut the fuck up.
Yeah. So let's introduce another concept here that's useful, and that is the concept of selfing. And so we can be triggered, and something like a little explosion happens, and we'll start selfing, right? And the way I see self is it's armor. It's literally body armor. It's a protection, a defense, if you like. And that's what happened when that came out of you, Kathleen. You immediately got into defensive mode.
Yeah.
That's where all the stories come from. So when we get triggered by something, we're almost inevitably going to do what I call selfing. We're going to be everything is going to be from the perspective of an actual self.
Yes.
And when you realize that that's happening, there's only one thing to do. Laugh.
Laugh.
And not explain it. Not say, I don't want it to happen again. Not say what caused it. Just recognize it and laugh.
I'd also suggest that you pay attention to how you're feeling, like the sensations. Maybe there's a feeling of, I don't know, guilt or shame or something that you behave that way. So maybe instead of like labeling it or trying to make sense of it or understand it or think about it, when you notice that selfing's happening, after you've had a little laugh, then try and feel into how you're actually feeling. That might help bring you closer to what's here, and maybe that's what you've been avoiding by thinking, not by going deeper into the sensation, the actual feeling that's present. Put your attention on that.
That's the thing that's confused me. It's because I feel like, because I was like, okay, scanning the body, like, where am I feeling this? Is it anger? Is it this? Is it that? Is it the fact that she was drunk and had an alcoholic father? You know what I mean? So, I mean, I was really trying to, and then I was like, am I just creating all these thoughts about this? Or I couldn't get to a feeling inside, because the only feeling inside was a scrunched up face. I was like, and I was
That's
like, is that a feeling?
enough. Okay. So remember, a feeling is a sensation plus a story. Right. So when you say, am I feeling anger? That's the story part. If you were to sink into it and look at what it is that's going on in the body, you get to the point where there are just sensations and stories. And the sensations are, in this case, even a scrunched up face is a story. What were the sensations that were happening in the concept of a face? that scrunched up. I mean, we get to the point again very quickly where the words aren't adequate to be accurate. But what are the sensations involved in a scrunch up face? Do it now. Scrunch your face up. This feels tight and went up when I did that. This came down. There's a feeling in the jaw. You know, I'm not even saying what that feeling is because it's not really that clear what that feeling is, but there's a feeling there, a sensation there in the jaw. As soon as we say it's anger, we're back in the head. As soon as we say it's frustration, we're back in the head. As soon as we label it anything, we're back in the head. We're away from the sensation.
Kathleen, right now, what's the sensation? Just taking on from what Vince is saying, what's the sensation right now?
Resistance?
Resistance?
The sensation?
Well, it's a label at least. How does that feel? How does it really feel? The raw feeling.
Tight?
Tight.
Contracted?
Now we're getting closer. Tell us more about that contraction.
I don't want it to be there.
But what about, let's go to the contraction first and then come back to the I don't want. Tell us about the contraction.
Just tight and contracted. Like,
okay.
That's as far as I can go with it.
And the I don't want?
I want peace and harmony. I don't want this I don't want to have this feeling.
But what is that feeling of I don't want? Describe it. What is the sensation that you can feel? Is there a pushing back? Is something pushing back? How would you describe that sensation? Is it hot? Is it hard?
I guess it's a pushing in the chest.
A pushing in the chest, okay. Is it something that's hard or is it dark?
Just pressure.
Just pressure. Okay. Stay with that pressure. Just stay with it.
I guess it's lightening up now.
Stay with it. And again, we're talking about the I don't want, feeling into the I don't want. Just let it be. Just let that be. Let that do what it wants to do. And you're just watching it, feeling it. What's happening?
It feels childlike.
Childlike. Okay. Drop into that a little further.
Being a kid.
Being a kid. So that sensation, is there a story around that from when you were a child?
Everything had to be okay.
Everything has to be okay. How does that feel?
Heavy.
Heavy. Okay, let the heaviness really reveal itself. This is a great example, by the way, of what Phil was talking about last week, that the story actually is innocent, but the story helps us reveal different aspects of the sensation. Story can change. So as soon as we feel the story, down into the sensation that's associated with that. So a heaviness, a real heaviness. This heaviness is a current experience of a past event, a past story, perhaps. May not be. That's my story.
No, that's my story.
Mm-hmm. So the heaviness, is it still there?
It's lightening up.
It's lightening up. Mm-hmm. And by the way, everybody else on the call, just to feel into this too, or feel what's going on in your own being while this is happening. So it's lightening up. Is it?
It's like, okay now.
It's okay. Is it really okay, or are you just telling yourself it's okay? Feel into
I think
it.
it's okay.
You think it's okay, but feel it. Does it feel really okay?
I don't feel the pressure anymore.
Okay. Right. Now we could continue this, but if you're able, Kathleen, just to stay with it, and through the day, if this starts to come up again and the story comes up, just feel into whatever sensation is there.
Yeah.
This is part of the inexplicable process of just looking and feeling into what is in the moment. And it will change, not as we want it to change, but like you went from different sensations, one sensation to a next, and as you felt into it, the next sensation was revealed. Just follow it without trying to control it. How does that feel right now?
Perfect. That's what I thought I was doing for the last 3 days, but I wasn't getting deep enough.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it is that depth. And if anyone feels that, it should be easy, this stuff isn't necessarily easy. It can be, but once we discover the resistance, that pushback that I don't want this, often that's the key, to feel into that. And then that's like the glue that holds the whole of this stuff together. So beautiful. Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank y'all. Oof.
So your facial expressions changed quite a lot, Kathleen, from the beginning when you were first here to when Alan was doing that with you. You could have been a different person. Your face changed quite a lot. Yeah.
I can feel it. Whew.
Ooh. Is that a relief sound we're hearing?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And did you have to do anything there?
No. Well, no.
No. Just be.
Yeah. It's so simple. But boy, when you get triggered, and
Mm-hmm.
it really is simple.
Mm-hmm.
We do complicate issues. That's what one of the things the mind does. It really complicates things unnecessarily. Yeah.
Yeah. May I
So
jump
I'll
in
tell you.
now?
Sorry, go on.
May
Yeah.
I? Yeah. Yeah. Actually, what you said about complication, that reminds me to give you an update on the last conversation that we've had. And from that point on, there was like a distance created with thoughts. And there are moments when I could observe the thoughts, and I had like a little bit of a period where I wasn't getting triggered so easily. I wasn't taking things personally. It lasted for a few days, and then there was this intense situations at work, and then full on selfing. Like I was triggered every which way, and there was some emotions that I could really sit with, and I could really see that at the bottom of it was actually shame. because what I was feeling was shame. And then all that burst of reactivity and all of that was, push that experience away and not feel the shame. And then and there was this one particular really bad meeting that I was in, and I was feeding in that soup of emotions for 24 hours. And I was at this retreat place and I had my cup of coffee and I had to return the mug to the washing station. And a thought struck that I haven't embraced it. I haven't embraced what I was feeling. And in that second, while I was walking to the washing station, I just kind of gave whatever that shame was a hug. I just said, so it's shame. And it doesn't feel good. And then there's like this sudden lightness, everything lifted. I started then even being able to think about what happened. And then things opened and, like a wheel that was stuck was now unstuck. So that was a good experience, and it's happening more and more in terms of not taking it personally. But I totally feel David. I mean, for most of what David was saying, it was like, that's me. I'm the one with full of doubts. And then I actually took some notes saying that if I have a chance to share what I'm struggling with. And I realize in this conversation, thanks to David, that yes, I'm in the doubt, second fettered doubt, and what I'm struggling with is my expectations. So I've had this experience on psychedelics where I felt complete loss of sense of self. And it lasted for about 15-20 seconds. I was in the bathroom and like there was like a energetic purge. The energetic purge happened, and then suddenly I was the wash basin. So it was like as if wash basin was looking at me. I'm the wash basin. I'm touching the walls. Everything's me. And it was so joyous to be me, to be the toilet brush, to be the toilet, to be the radiator, to be the wash basin, to be the water. And the ecstasy. It lasted for about 4 or 5 hours, and I was the self came back. It came back in about 15-20 seconds, I think. And that happened in April, but I keep wanting that back. And that has now become my benchmark. It's like I will know myself has dropped when I can see I'm the toilet. I want that back. And if I don't go back to that and say, okay, this lampshade is me, the mobile is me, the sweater I'm wearing is me, I haven't achieved it as yet.
Right.
There's still more work to be done. And I also want to get rid of it, And then I'm like, no, that's not what Vince says. That's not what Paul said. Don't live in the expectations of those fireworks. But then, you also hear people like Frank Yang going, of course, the amount of effort that he took, I've never taken. But he talks about having a completely centerless existence. So those have become my benchmarks. And I'm like, okay, so till I do get there, I have to still do something. I just don't know, what. Like when Vince was talking about Vince, you were talking about the cup experiment, I was like, oh, good, I have something to do now, okay? So as soon as the call is over, I'm going to do the cup experiment.
Hey,
So,
look, what comes to mind, what you've triggered for me is this one of the, how to put it, attitude. Attitude is really the foundation that this whole thing rests on. And the attitude of acceptance, the attitude of loving, welcoming acceptance is the foundation that this rests on. Now, what kind of work have you got to do to get that? Can you work hard enough to get that kind of acceptance? No.
No.
Doesn't matter how hard you work. That's not going to happen, is it? From working.
Yeah.
So, being, you know, let's just imagine the scenario. And this is what actually happened to me when I woke up. I didn't wake up through the first fetter of no self. I woke up with the realization that whatever I am aware of, specifically my experiencing, which is everything, whatever I am aware of can't be changed. It's already happened. My awareness lags the actual experiencing by a millisecond or two. The awareness comes after it. It's already happened and can't be changed. So anything other than total acceptance of that is just crazy. It's just going to corrupt it. It's going to corrupt the next experience. So not having any judgment, no opinion about what's happened, just accepting, total acceptance. That's the only sane option. If you can welcome that idea, not into your head, but into your heart, the idea of acceptance without opinion, without judgment, just cuts the legs out from everything else. Whatever is here now, see, I don't know what's here now. When I bring awareness to what's here now, I'm using memory.
Yeah, I see that.
So
Another thing I'm also struggling with is I'm currently in a place where I'll have to make some decisions, some career related decisions. But with this thought exploration, now I'm going into this weird loop of who's going to make the decisions? If it's going to be, I mean, the only way I am aware of making decisions is by thinking about it. Do I trust the thinking about it anymore? Or do I just sit on the couch and see how things evolve?
yes, but you put a judgment into that when you said that, didn't you? When you said sit on the couch, you were expressing a morality about it.
Yes.
But decisions are an interesting one, you know. Do you, I mean, even forget the fact that there's no one there to make a decision. That's not really the issue. But when you think about a decision, go back and think about a decision that you made. Did you consciously say to yourself, I'm making a decision. I have decided to do such and such. Did you do that ahead of whatever such and such was? Or did the mind come along afterwards and say, I made that decision? So what was the last thing you decided to do? Did you decide to come to this meeting? Or did coming to this meeting just happen? And afterwards you said, oh, I must have decided that because I'm here.
Oh wow, this is trippy. Yeah, I remember going back and forth whether to skip the meeting or join the meeting. And then the ping, okay, 10 minutes, 30 minutes to the meeting, 10 minutes to the meeting. I'm watching something and then I look up and it's like, oh, it's past 8. It's 8 where I am. And then I just, pull my laptop. You're right. Was there a point where I made a decision? I made a choice.
Well, did you? So what happened was, I'll go, I won't go, maybe not, right?
Yeah.
You can only say you made a choice after the event.
Ah. Oh my God. So what happened? So what happened in that instant when I pulled the laptop, turned it on? I just pulled the laptop and turned it on?
Exactly. It happened. Yeah.
Oh, and then of course, when I look at it now, it seems like I made the choice to join the meeting.
Yeah.
That's the story. So choice is a story?
Mm. It's a way of describing. It's if we just
Describing, yeah.
settle into our
Like a label.
yeah. But it's not an accurate describing when we think that it was us doing it. It's not accurate.
Mm-hmm.
When we reflect on it just happening, it's much closer to what actually happened.
Mm. No, so okay, so if you make it a little future oriented real, okay, let's play with me on this one. So I'm at the point where I could quit my job, go back to India, or look for a job and stay here. So these are two clear choices, right? Go back
No,
home,
they're
stay.
not clear.
No?
That's what the mind has done. The mind has made it clear because it's eliminated everything else and said, okay, there's just that. But that's not the reality. So when you think
not
about
the reality. Yes. Yeah.
when you think about how did that choice occur, and I use the word loosely, how did that decision happen? You start to think about all of the elements involved in that. And the more you think about it, the wider and wider and wider it gets, the bigger it gets. So, for example, if you were to consider the going back to India possibility, you've got to have the ability, the health to do the trip. You've got to have the money to do the trip. There's got to be aeroplanes to carry you if you're going that way. There's got to be somebody who have made the aeroplane, right? There's got to be the great-great-great-great-great-grandfather of one of the persons involved in making the aeroplane had to be healthy enough to have kids. There's no end to the conditions involved in what actually it is you're just considering. And the same goes for the other side of the story, the other possibility. There's no end to the conditions involved. So what finally happens is really contingent on just what those conditions are. And you can only bring a couple of factors to those conditions. A lot of them are way outside of your control.
But isn't intention something that I control or something that happens?
No. Can you control what thoughts come up?
No.
And isn't intention just a thought that comes up that says, you know, I intend to do this?
Sorry, I come from India, so I have a very, very strong belief in karma. So there's an effect, right? And there's an effect to something that happens. And the cause for me is the intention, because it's the intention that leads to action.
It can. It may do, yeah. Along with a whole lot of other things, an infinite number of other things.
Yes.
So for you
yes.
to have any action about your intention, you have to have the ability to have that action. And all of the
Yep.
circumstances around it have to be aligned for that to happen.
Yes, absolutely.
Really,
Without
very
the other
literal.
causes and conditions.
Yeah.
It's
very
not
literal.
independent of. No, but then see that's what trips me up, because the very fact that I have a sense of making an intention, and
That's also
not all of my
control.
intentions get fulfilled, but then there is such a strong sense of making an intention that kind of, keeps me hooked to that there is someone who's making the intention.
Yeah. And it comes back to the illusion of control.
Yeah. So even the fact that an intention is made is just as I pulled the laptop, I turned it on.
Yeah. So intention,
It's just one of the weather conditions.
yeah. And can you say for a moment that you intended to have that intention? Excuse the pun, but
Yeah.
it's just a thought that arises. I mean, why that thought? Why not some other thought?
I can clearly see there are causes and conditions that led to that particular intention. That I can sometimes see.
Yeah.
That
You can see some of
intention
them.
is also not in the vacuum. It doesn't happen in a vacuum.
No. Well, there
It's
is no
also a result of
vacuum.
causes and conditions.
Yeah. So causes, cause and effect is a really simplistic notion. We have this idea that one or two things can cause something else to happen. But as soon as you investigate it, you realize that, in fact, that there's a million things involved.
Yeah,
An
true.
infinite number of things. In fact,
True.
everything that's ever happened in the world since the beginning of existence had to be exactly the way it is for any happening to happen.
True.
Yeah.
True. I see that. Intellectually, I see that.
Yeah. So with karma, that's an interesting one. With karma, there's a morality built into that from a Western perspective, and that is that you get what you deserve, right? Whereas you might also see karma as simply the consequences of something that happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the version I am in. It's just, it's just you drop something, it'll fall because gravity exists, because the thing has mass, blah, blah, blah. So many other, causes and conditions. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But remove the morality from it and you're closer to the way things actually work.
Right. But see, for me, that's the thing, that yes, causes and conditions are there. But if one of the causes is the intention itself, because intention tends to be a precursor to action in some cases, and then that intention is that sense of control, actually, that I'm not comfortable letting that go. I want to be, I'm not comfortable letting that go.
Right. Of course, of course. Who wants to be out of control? But there's this weird thing that you never were in control. You only thought you were, and you got comfortable thinking that you were in control. The reality was you never, ever, ever were in control.
Oh, that makes me feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually making me feel really uncomfortable. I'm scared almost.
But consider this.
But does it mean I'm at then I'm at the mercy of whatever happens? You see, this is, I don't know, some kind of self-protection mechanism. It's like, how can I secure some safety for this thing? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, consider this though. You never ever were actually in control. You duped yourself into thinking that you were in control. But has it been disastrous for you?
No.
So this idea of I'm at the mercy of whatever goes on sounds like you could easily get into a disastrous situation, eh? But it hasn't happened. So although you were never in control, here you are. So the idea that if I'm not in control, things are going to get really bad, that's just a stupid story. So you're not giving up something that you had. What you're doing is recognizing what was always the case. You're not going from being in control to not being in control. You were never in control. And yet everything's worked out.
I so badly want to take credit for where I am. No, I worked hard and I did well in school. And come on.
Hang on, we'll send you a certificate.
I survived. I did let me die. Let me have that. Oh, okay. This is making me really uncomfortable. Should I go back and look at all the turning points in my life and let the illusion that I made that happen drop?
Well, I wouldn't say there's a need to go to that extent, but certainly if you take any major turning point that happened in your life and just consider whether or not it was something that you did or something that happened as a result of this infinite number of conditions involved, that could be a good way for you to. And the only reason to do that is because you're still doubting what I'm saying.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
Which is perfectly unreasonable.
Yeah, I want to check it out. I want to be really convinced. Sure.
Yeah, these are the next looks into the fridge, right?
Yes, yeah, they're just making sure. Maybe I wasn't looking at the right shelf.
Yeah.
Maybe
And you can do this.
did I miss the
You
door?
can do this until you die and even longer. And you will never be sure that you checked all the fridge shelves and all the drawers, and if there is anything behind the jam, maybe there is something inside the jar of the jam. So you will keep on looking until the end, unless you give it.
Unless I give it up? Give up the search?
Yeah,
Call off the dogs?
yeah.
Hmm.
That's why, most probably, that's why people who suffer enough have it kind of easier to let it go, because they are just so fed up with looking and checking
Yeah.
that kind of opens the possibility of just leaving it be, because it's just too much.
Seb, I was hoping that would work for me. You know, I was hoping that would work for me because every time I come close to that point of surrender, there is this survival type of raw survival instinct that claws back. And I think in my case, I've been a survivor. I was responsible for my, brother very early in life and contributing to the family and needing to be financially independent from the age of 14. So I am so convinced if I let go, everything will come crashing down. I have this strong sense of, because I held up my family for so many decades that if I let go, it'll all fall down. And that control, that
So how
Nothing
are you going
changes.
to?
yeah, because I am, Seb, I'm like so on the edge there that even a friend of mine dreamt I was in my undies sitting on the rooftop of a skyscraper with my legs on the street side. Like I'm literally there. I'm like so close. And then there's this last bit that has dug her nails in and she won't let go. Like, what'll happen to me?
How are you
I
going to
will look
find
after
out?
myself.
How are you going to find out what will happen if you let go?
I do these thought things, like, oh, should I quit my job? Should I look for another job? If I let go, what would it mean? Would it mean not making that decision? Would it mean waiting for things to happen to me? So I go into those kind of thought loops or experiments, which is completely a waste of time because it doesn't serve anything.
So when you go into those thought loops, are you aware that you're doing that?
Yes. I would say nowadays I've started becoming
More
aware
so,
of
yeah.
those. Yes. Yeah. Now so I'll do it for a while and then a few hours later I'm like, oh, I'm playing in my thought loops,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I do
So
notice
if
it.
the recognition comes a few hours later, there's nothing to do but have a laugh about the fact that you recognized it. Celebrate that recognition. If you become aware, and you will, that you're in one of those loops while you're in it, here's something you can do. Check your body for sensations.
Okay.
And go to the level, to the depth where labeling the sensations, Kathleen, labeling the sensations don't work. The sensations are too indescribable. The subtlety of them, the variability of them, it can't be put into words. So to say it's a contraction, that's a concept that we're using to describe what's actually going on. To say I feel this is just a concept. This is a concept. So when you get into those feelings, just get to the level, like with the cup exercise, where there is just, instead of it being a visual input, it's a tactile input, but it's too subtle to describe. Get down to that level of sensation. And what you'll find is that you're way out of your thoughts the instant you start to do that. It's a brilliant way to get out of that thought loop.
I'll do that. I'll do that because I do manage to do that with disturbing emotions at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bye, Phil. Yeah.
Shaheen, I'm going to channel my inner Alan. There was about 2 minutes ago, you seemed to reach a really important moment. It was obviously incredibly emotional for you. Well, that's the impression I got. This is my story,
Yes, it was.
And then you backed away from it.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not you want to go back there or whether you should go back there, and I don't know what would happen if you'd stayed there, but to me, from the outside here, that looked really important. And then you suddenly went, whoa! So that's my 4 pence.
Okay. So in that moment was the raw survival instinct that I was feeling. Like that was life or death. My ability to control my decisions and choices was life or death. If I let go, it would mean death. That's what it felt like in that moment.
But Shaheen,
Death of what?
Sorry, Seb.
Sorry, no, we started. I just asked death of what?
Me, Shaheen, and me as in the person, the person as in body. That I would die because then.
So Shaheen, taking that pointer that James pointed to, would you be willing to go back to that sensation right now? Just let it come. Just stay with it. Just feel right into it.
Yeah.
Just let it be completely. Everyone feel in at the same time. Just feel into this or whatever is going on in your own being. Just notice what's happening. Let it come. 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 Just be one with it. Just be one with it. Just be one with it. Yeah. This has been in there for a long time, hasn't it? It's been wanting to tell you. Yeah. We're here. We're holding you. We're holding you. Mm. 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 Breathe into it. Just breathe into it. No attempt to contain it at all. Just let it express.
It's loneliness.
Loneliness. What does that feel like? Is it cold? Is it dark?
It's referenceless, like
Reference.
just
Yeah.
floating, doesn't matter.
Okay.
No reference point.
Let that be. Let that be. Just let
And
that be.
coldness in the sense of, no one really cares.
No one really cares. Okay, what does that feel like? No one really cares. Worthless. And how would you describe the tactile feeling there?
Like really constriction here. It's like
around the throat.
It doesn't. It's not even allowing it to breathe.
Right. It's even more than restriction. It's just impenetrable, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an iron glass.
Right. Right. Did you say an iron glass? Clasp. Okay. Yes. Yeah. It's choking very life out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's choking.
Yeah.
But you're still here. You're still here. It's choking. It's happening, but you're still here.
Yeah.
But what's happening just now?
I just realized I couldn't be here if I were really alone.
This is part of the mystery. We are never not alone. You're never not alone, yet not.
Yeah. How am I alone? I wouldn't be here without the farmer, without the baker who baked the bread.
Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Just feel into it, because this is a beautiful doorway. There's so much more. So much more. Which is already here. What's happening right now?
It's just a thought. Why am I here?
Yeah, don't go there. The mind wants to answer that. It's the unanswerable question. We're getting back to Seb's looking in the fridge again. Just be. Just be. What's at the core of all this? What are you experiencing right? What's holding all this? For want of a better word.
Fear.
Say again.
Fear.
Fear. Mm-hmm. What does fear feel like?
Again, the breathlessness.
Breathlessness. Mm-hmm. This restriction.
Yes.
This clamping around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Shaheen, now you've uncovered that, discovered it, that if you're able, and I sense you're willing, do you feel able just over the next little while just to stay with that and see what unfolds?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to.
Yeah, this is a beautiful doorway if you're able to do that, and we certainly were able to see you go to a level that perhaps you hadn't been conscious of before.
Yeah.
With the sensation. So the sensations are holding all those experiences of you as a 14-year-old having to maintain your family. You were the one that had to carry them all. Again, the sensation is the present moment experience of many past stories, and as we just let that show itself, there's an unbinding that happens. Just unbinds things. So that's so beautiful. Thank you for being willing to just go there.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, James, for not letting that opportunity pass. Thank
James,
you.
James, I'd just like to reinforce that you picked up on something there, and this is what looking is all about. And what you did was so precious, James. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Shaheen.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
So
James,
when you say stay with it, do you mean staying with it again at this body sensation level?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The body doesn't lie. And remember, Vince was saying, is you stay with that sensation that we can't describe. It's beyond description because it's changing so dynamically. Sounds like a technical term, a clinical term, but it is. It's just, it's absolutely inexplicable how it changes. But just going in that sea of change, just being willing to be carried in that sea of change in the moment in your body, that's where life can just work miracles that we can never explain.
Yeah. Because I can already see the change. Because there was something happening at the pit of my stomach that's eased up.
Right.
This has eased up. Like, here it's eased up. There's still tightness here under the chin. But it's easing up.
Yeah. And don't be surprised if that tightness comes back even with a vengeance. It doesn't mean that you haven't done it well. It's just that it's in the light of your...
The last...
Say again?
Maybe just the last dregs of it resurfacing.
And there's remnants of this stuff that it pops up in the most surprising ways, but we just stay with it again.
And I don't have to understand what it is.
Absolutely not. Just remember, every time you think about it, you're diverting away from it.
Actually, that's nice. It's a relief.
Did you hear how quick Vince came in there? Absolutely not. Just carry that thought. Every time you're looking for meaning and going to the head, absolutely not. Just hear Vince with you on your left shoulder. And no peeking in the fridge. No peeking in the fridge.
That's Seb on my right shoulder. Don't go opening that fridge again.
Just
Thank you
notice,
so much.
just notice the lightness now. You know, you were really. It was so deep, that feeling. We all could feel it was palpable, the agony of that feeling. And now it's changed so quickly. It may not always do that. You know, it may take you really deep, but just be willing to go with it. That's all.
Yeah. And I'm really sorry for all the ugly crying.
Please. This, Shaheen, we understand, and I've cut you off in being willing to describe that apology, but this is the beauty of it. Our culture just shuts all this down, and it's the door to freedom. It's a door to freedom. We're not here to change anything. We're just here to help each other just see what is and feel what is in its most magnificent depths.
I want to jump in. Terry, you've become a different person. That really moved you. I've never seen you so animated.
Oh yeah, Shaheen. When you just, I don't know what you were about to say. Sorry for something like how you looked while you were crying or something. Anyway, I totally relate to that sort of shame or, you know, regret or whatever. I completely get that. And also, you know, for you to be able to go through this with all of us is an incredible gift to all of us. So your thoughts are going to maybe come in and say that it was selfish or indulgent or something. And, you know, those are just thoughts that are trying to protect you. But in fact, it's the opposite. It's just wonderful when any of us is able to really go in there like that and expose ourselves.
I would second all of what you're saying there, Terry. I think that's true. But you're not. I want to talk about you, not about
Bingo.
Okay, let's talk about me. I mean, I guess it doesn't feel, it feels normal to me to, that's kind of my normal response to somebody experiencing emotion in my presence. Maybe you just haven't seen it.
Yeah, sure.
But you know, is there something else you want to? Well, also I noticed like earlier in today's session, let's see, I guess it was Shaheen, am I saying your name right?
Actually, perfectly. Like my mom would have
Okay.
said it. Yeah.
Earlier when Shaheen was talking and like realizing that there was no choice and no or what choice actually, what we call choice, what it actually is. I was just cracking up, and I thought it's so funny. Like, I think this is hilarious. At the same time, it seems to me that I'm really gripped in this idea that I have choice, and you know, there's a particular decision that's been on my mind for years, really, that the mind just keeps chewing over, and I'm thinking, okay, there's no choice, but am I gonna right now? Am I going to do A, which I think moves me forward, or am I going to do B, which seems more fun and comfortable? And, you know, well, B sounds like more fun, but only A will like move me forward. Otherwise, you know, this important situation is not going to resolve itself. So clearly, like, there's this really firm belief that what I do matters. And well, it amuses me that I was laughing so much at Shaheen's process, whereas like it's still so gripping choice. The choice thing is so gripping for me, and I don't get what I mean. I guess there's some, I don't know, deep clinging to the idea that I'm in charge of my own life, but haven't seen what that's all about.
That's a trick, isn't it? Because it seems like the opposite, that if you're not in control of your own life, then either somebody or something else is. And that's not true either. Yeah. So this interesting, this back and forward that you go on, you know, I'll contemplate whether I'll do this or whether I'll do that, which way will I go, and so on and so on. That can lead to the idea that you're actually making a choice. But when that final decision happens, it just happens. Yeah. You can say, oh, I made that decision. And depending on how invested you are in being in control, it'll make you feel good. You'll get a good feeling out of it.
Well, you know, I think I see that, you know, I see that there's no choosing to join today's meeting. You know, there were thoughts that said, should I, shouldn't I? And then I turned on the computer, etc. So that's clear to me. But with this larger issue, it seems that, again, that it many moments in my life, I can either be lazy and not do anything to move me forward, or I can make an effort and do something that moves me forward. And so in the
You're
moment,
hearing the morality in that? I can be lazy.
How do you
or I
know
can
where
make an
forward
effort.
is?
Sorry, Seb, say again.
I just asked, how do you know where forward is?
yeah, so what if I do nothing?
Can you do nothing?
Did you ask if I can do nothing, Vince? I didn't get your
There's an
question.
effort involved in the nothing, is there?
Is there effort in the nothing?
So I mean, it's a common phrase. I mean, I'll do nothing, you know, but really what we're saying is, I won't do something.
Right.
Sorry, I will press on with that. How do you know where forward is? Because this is try to investigate. How did you come up with the forward?
So I'm
Try to think about it.
Do you tell me that I should try? You want me to try to think about it?
Yeah, try to investigate how the forward came up and where did it come from, who established it, who set the goal, what are the expectations, who set them up. Try to go that way and figure out where are you actually going or trying to go. I will just leave you with that.
Okay.
I sense a large influence of morality in these things for you. You know, I heard you say I can be lazy or I can be something else.
Yeah.
So it's like if you take the doing nothing road, then you've got a story about you being I won't say bad, but you know, something not good. Yeah. Whereas if you work hard at something, then that's good. Something you get something that you deserve. There's a lot of morality here, a lot of judgment going on.
Well, you said early in the meeting about how Western culture values hard work, and there's this idea in our culture that, yeah, I guess that hard work is morally good. I don't know exactly what you said, but it was something along those lines.
Yeah.
And yeah, that really hit home for me. There's so much of that kind of thinking here in me.
Yep. So I don't like the word enlightenment because I don't know what it is, but awakening, it makes sense, and liberation makes sense. And what we're talking about with you here is being liberated from the prison of cultural norms, of having to behave in a certain way because society judges that as good or not good or whatever. Now that's being liberated from that.
I would even say more. If you, I could even say that your hard work towards a goal is kind of an entertainment for your brain, for your mind. And it is actually pulling you away from what is, from where you are and who you are or who you are not, whatever you come up with here. But whatever you when you set up a goal, when you are struggling towards it, it gives you something to well, to occupy. It occupies you, right?
I agree with you. That rings true, the entertainment part.
Yeah, it is an entertainment. Whatever, if it is, an ugly story, or if it is a pretty story that you made it, or it is an ugly story that you were lazy or you didn't, still an entertainment.
Could I just jump in there with this entertainment, Seb and Terry? If I've got it right, Terry, 2 or 3 weeks ago, you were talking about boredom.
Yes.
About being bored. Is there something that's connected here, the entertainment, to get out of boredom? Or
absolutely.
What's happening to boredom?
Well, so I reported that whenever I stopped and was just present with experience and let go of stories, that that it wasn't comfortable. And I've looked into that some more. I said that, like, either I got impatient with the discomfort and went off to do something, or I would fall asleep. And I've looked into this several more times since then, and I guess I can only report the same thing. Like, I haven't, there's been no further insight. The discomfort, the word boredom doesn't come up. It was just the word that came up to try to communicate it to all of you, but it's more like, why live? There's nothing here. There's nothing here for me. I think, there's some, like, fear going on underneath there. I don't know what it is.
Well, that's the point. This so boredom, and I know what you said about that, but boredom is actually very active. There's a lot going on in boredom, and the fact that you fall asleep too, they're diversions away from whatever is going on for you. They're escapes. Yeah. And you know that. I can see by your nodding that you know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what now, part of this morality thing says, oh, well, therefore I've got to do something about that. Well, you don't. You don't have to do anything about it. The fact that you recognize that it's happening is really all that needs to happen. But what you're missing, I think, this is my story again, is that foundation of acceptance towards it. So with the acceptance will come the change.
So acceptance seems to not happen because, you know, I've been with so many different kinds of discomfort in my life. And, you know, through spiritual practice, I've learned to be more and more with more different and more intense kinds of discomfort. But it's funny, this discomfort, it's not that bad, because when the mind says, oh, this is so uncomfortable, I can't stay here, then I think, okay, well, would you rather be in that situation you were in last year where you were freezing cold and it was getting dark and there was, you know, oh, no, I'm really glad I'm not there. It's not that uncomfortable.
So Terry, right now, tell us about this discomfort if you're happy to do that. What does it feel like?
Well, the first thing that happens is a thought that I can't breathe, and there is shallowness of breathing.
So feel into that feeling. Forget the thought. Just feel into that. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Is that what's really being felt? I can't breathe, or is there something else?
No, it's a variety of sensations in the upper chest and throat area.
Okay. So just let your light of attention gently rest on that and feel into it and tell us what's going on.
Oh, now sleepiness is arising.
Okay. What does sleepiness feel like?
There are sensations in the back of the throat and in the skull area. It's hard to describe them, but
that's good. Just feel into them. When we can't describe it, it's getting really close to the authentic sensation, and yet we do try to describe it just for communication. And just something else I'd like to note. You said it's feeling like sleepiness. Sleepiness doesn't seem to have anything to do with tiredness here. It's a sensation in itself. It's a sensation in itself. So as Vince said, you know, it's a diversion. So feel into that. Tell us as best you can what's happening.
a dullness of the mind. I guess I would just say that, like, the television is on in the other room and the mind was attracted to those sounds. And
right. And what's the feeling here? The sensation. You talked about dullness. Is there something that is there something that's pushing back? I don't want this.
Well, I couldn't quite hear what you just said, but dullness is, you know, I almost all the time I do see that basically everything is sensation and or story, but maybe the dullness is something that's neither sensation or story, but just like a forgetting what I'm doing here, forgetting
Is there nearly an anxiety about that dullness?
Is there anxiety about the dullness?
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not supposed to fall asleep.
Right. Mm-hmm. No, that's supposed to be doing something, huh? What's the sensation? What's this deep feeling? This deep feeling in the core of your being.
Well, the first thing I have to say is there was a flash of attention to my genitals, and that kind of thing comes up often when I'm looking deeply inside.
Right.
And I think there may have been some, you know, kind of sexual assault or something in my very early childhood. So
okay, and
I mean, it's a little embarrassing to talk about it, but
exactly,
I feel like I have permission to talk about it. I can voice it. It's just a little bit, you know.
And Terry, just go as far as you feel comfortable. I understand the absolute sensitivity here, but I think you're really pointing to something that's so deep here that it's just making perfect sense here anyway. And look, if you're happy to talk about it here, by all means, and if you want to take this offline, we can do that too.
Here's okay.
It's okay. Okay. This is courage. This is courage. So just, oh dear. Everyone just feel into this, please. It's just an opportunity to just cradle Terry in this because this is deep. This is deep. Here we go. This is so deep. Terry, we're cradling you. Just tell us what's happening. Tell us what's happening.
You know, just a kind of a shutdown.
Shut down. Yeah, right. That's perfectly predictable.
Hold on one moment. I'm going to close the door to this room.
Yeah.
All right, here I am, totally shut down now.
You've totally shut down, yeah.
I'm just away. I'm not in that spot anymore.
Okay. Sorry, when you say shut down, you're feeling the shutdown still?
Well, maybe just what I mean is, in the act of getting up out of the chair and closing the door, I've just come back to sort of everyday reality in my head.
Yes, yeah. So we're not going to force anything here. If you'd like to continue now, we're happy to do that. But if you'd like to just take it offline again, we can do that too.
No, now's okay.
Okay, all right. So tell us what you're feeling.
There's some sensation and attention again in the genitals.
Right. So just
go ahead.
No, just feel into that. Just feel into that. Just let your attention just so compassionately rest on that. Just tell us what's there.
I just feel really ashamed of myself.
We've got you, Terry. Just allow it to just open up fully. Tell us about the shame. Can you tell us about that?
It's just, I'm not supposed to talk about this part of my body, and
of course.
I'm not.
Of course, and we've all got genitals. Pardon?
I don't want everybody to have them. I just don't want anybody to have them. It's gross.
No. Oh, feel into this.
It's hard to stay with this.
Just stay with it, Terry, as best you can.
I'm just so ashamed.
They're so ashamed. We ache with you. We ache with you.
I'm not supposed to talk about this at all.
No, that's right. But you are, and it's so courageous. It's so courageous. What's there, Terry? Just tell us exactly what you're feeling. What exactly
I
is
just like had an image of like just being really happy and like immediately like no. It's really hard to stay with this. Just I feel like I have to really concentrate.
Yeah, just do it gently. Just do it gently. Just do it gently.
Well, there's also like sense of somebody coming at me from right here, this direction. And I've noticed that like thousands of times.
Right.
While doing inner work or whatever.
Yeah. So feel into
there
what
it is.
Feel that threat that's coming at you. Just feel the sensation that evokes, that triggers.
I just have to give up. I don't know.
Yeah, give up. Do give up and see what happens. Just we're here.
That I should give up.
Yeah, just feel into that giving up. Don't resist the giving up.
I mean, I can't fight this person,
No. There's no need to fight the person. Just feel the sensation.
But I have. If I give up, then I'm just so bad.
Yeah.
So horrible.
Feel into the giving up. Feel into the giving up.
No.
Feel into the giving up. No. Oh,
How could I let him do that to me?
Yeah.
No. How can you make those noises about it? This is just awful.
Terry, just we're here. We're here. Just just let it be.
I agree. Nobody's gonna want me.
Mm-hmm. No. Mm-hmm. Just feel into it. Just feel into it. Just feel into it. Mm-hmm. Just feel into the depth of it, Terry. This is so courageous.
Really hard. It's just hard work.
So, say again.
Doing this right now is hard work.
It's hard work. Yes, it is. It
Yeah,
is. But well, listen. Just feel. Just even drop the hard work and let it be. Just let it be. Just gently embrace it. Not even embrace it. Just let it be. Just breathe into it. What's happening now?
well, everything, all the images are going, just disappearing.
Disappearing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And what's the feeling? What's the feeling? Something's just happened. What's changed?
What changed?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you said I didn't have to work to do anything, so I just stopped working.
Stop working. Mm-hmm.
Because I was making a lot of effort to keep my attention on the idea of this guy coming after me, and
Right.
I'm just
Mm-hmm.
yielding, letting go, and
Mm-hmm. And now, is there any work happening, or are you just letting it all be?
letting be.
Letting it be. Mm-hmm. And how does that feel?
Well, it's more relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Mm-hmm.
there's some uncomfortable sensations that I might call contractions.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And look at this ebb and flow. You know, you've opened a well of memory here in this sensation. It's just flooded out. So there'll be ebbing and flowing. But this is remarkable, this change from deep anguish to, how would you describe it right now? The word release is coming, but I'm not sure that that gets it.
I don't know if I particularly have a feeling or an idea that anything's been released.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I never had anybody give me the direction to allow in my imagination this
Right.
assault to occur. I'm
Uh-huh.
always like fighting. So
Yes. Yeah.
So in allowing, I guess like the shame of having allowed it
Mm-hmm.
when I was little,
Mm-hmm.
really came up.
Yeah.
But again, like the whole thing that you led me through, it felt like I was making effort the whole way
Right.
through. None of that was like letting go. It was like, I'd rather not think about this, but I'm going to think about it. I'd rather not think about this.
Yeah, absolutely. But that moment when you were willing to just not fight it, that's what changed things. When the fighting stopped.
Yeah, I want to jump in here too. I saw you shut down again, Terry. I thought, well, at least I thought you did. But things will rearrange themselves as a result. I think you've got more work to do as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But things will rearrange as a result of what happened. And see, if I was in Alan's position, I would be asking you how old you were when that was happening, because I heard your tiny little child's voice stuttered at one point. And of course, as a child, now I want to cry. As a child, you have these stories about what will happen and for the rest of your life because of something like that. A child, a naive child, perspective on what goes on is so different to what you can see now. But yeah.
It's still, you know, scary. Like I'm looking at the screen and,
yeah,
you know, I mean, it feels like it was, you know, a middle-aged man who hurt me, and like there's so many middle-aged men on the screen, and it's hard, a little hard, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Knowing,
feel into that.
like I 90% trust you, but
not completely. So understandable. So understandable. So feel into this now, Terry. Just feel into it.
You're good at shutting down.
Yeah, feel the mistrust. I don't trust you. Say that again. I don't trust you guys 100%.
I don't trust you guys.
No, I don't trust you guys. I'm scared. I'm scared to share, and it's hard to trust you. I don't trust you. Keep saying that.
But I have to, because there's nobody else. Nobody else.
You don't have to, Terry. Just let it be. I just get the sense that, Jenny, if you just continue here, because that might be helpful with a lady too.
Yeah. So you're risking trust. Your little girl risking to trust. It's not that you have to trust. It's that you're willing to risk it. So I don't trust you guys is bringing up the fear of being able to risk that trust, because your conscious mind knows that it's going to be okay, but the little girl doesn't. So you're going to let that little girl express, I don't trust you 100%. What don't you trust about them? What might they do? These men on here.
I don't know. I don't trust you either.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good,
because
but
also my mom didn't help me either.
Yeah. What would you have liked your mom to do? How does she not help?
I wanted her to help me and be on my side. But she just pretended like nothing happened.
Just keep breathing. Just keep breathing. What would you have liked your mom to do?
I'm afraid to say. I know I'm feeling like the genital feelings are back. Don't know.
Let them come. Let them come.
I think something about these feelings is like I loved my mom too much or something. I don't know. I don't even want to say what I wanted her to do, because I think it's too much for. I think I want her to hold me. Just let me be with her.
Let the little girl speak here, Terry. Let the give full voice to let the little girl have full voice.
She didn't want me to cry or anything, make any kind of commotion. So then I had to pretend that it didn't really happen because it seemed like nobody thought that it happened, so it must not have happened,
Keep breathing. So you wanted your mom to hear you and hold you and let you cry in her arms.
Yeah, but it's even embarrassing to hear you say that because
Yeah. Feel
I just
embarrassed?
trained myself to not even want anything like that ever again.
Yeah. So tell me about the embarrassment. It's so embarrassing to say I need.
I can't even hear you say that. Everything you say, Jenny, I have to like block out and then just like, I can't take it from you. I have to like block it out and then put it in my brain and then hear my own brain say it because I don't want to hear anything from you or anybody else.
I absolutely get that.
Nobody,
Yep.
you can't trust anybody. Never want to trust anybody ever again.
That's in a way it's okay because who you're really learning to trust is you. So no matter what, reflecting it
Yeah,
back.
whatever.
Yeah, good. Good. And then check it with yourself. And then check it with yourself. Yeah. You don't know if I'm telling you the truth or not. You don't know if I understand you or see you. So no matter what I say, check it. Feel into it. See if it's true. Don't trust me.
I feel like I want to stop now.
Right.
You know, I want to stop and I don't want to stop, but maybe I just want to know that I can stop if I want to.
Indeed.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you want to keep going, that's fine. And if you want to stop as well, Terry, there's many hearts here that you know how to reach out to.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, in terms of contacting us after the session, you know how to be in touch with us. Many of us are here to help if we can.
I don't know what kind of help you're offering.
Listening. Listening. Being there and listening. Holding space for you. And you can stop now and then we can be on the call for 20 minutes and then you might start up again or not. Or it might be a couple of hours later and you might want to start up. You don't have to reach out to anyone.
Okay, that's what I want to do. Just want to stop for now.
Beautiful.
It's something, there's something good about having 20 different people here because that's kind of safety, you know. I think one-on-one stuff is hard.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Big breath and sigh.
Okay, I don't want attention on me for now.
You got it.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be here, Terry.
Thanks.
That was so courageous. We just want you to know that.
Thank you.
This deep honesty is the key to freedom. Every aspect of it. Such as you saying the safety was 20 people, that's what you were really feeling. It's just letting all that come as it comes.
We'll take the attention away from Terry now.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Was anyone activated by this, that it brought up something within themselves they want to share?
Yes. It seems so minor in comparison, but hopefully it's a story that'll help. And it was only last week, and it was Alan. I've forgotten who was sharing, but then I chimed in about feeling embarrassed or whatever, and Alan talked me through the sensations in the same way. And finally, embarrassment just went away. But I think the thing that was significant looking back was the fact that every time I stepped down, I wanted to tell another story. So there was the initial story of being embarrassed. Then, oh, what are those feelings? And it was heat in my chest, a sensation in my head. And then I wanted to tell a story about those sensations. Oh, you know, it's this heat that's making me feel embarrassed, whatever. And then you just kept talking me through it and kept me focusing on the physical sensations. And then I think you wanted to bring a story in, or you were trying to guide me or point me. And you said like something, oh, be curious about it. And I remember saying, no, I can't be curious, because for me, that's just another story.
Mm-hmm.
And these stories just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. And as I say, it was on a much sort of what felt like a more superficial level, or not, perhaps not superficial, and not quite as deeply emotional.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until I could actually get myself, and language is short, but get myself to the point where I could say, there's a pressure here, there's a heat here, there's this sticky feeling across here, there's a pressure down here. And when I could finally just get to the physical sensations, no stories, I know those words are stories as well, but that was as deep as I could get. And when I finally just got to the physical sensations, all the stories stopped. And for me, the embarrassment went away, you know, the uncomfortable feelings went away. So I don't know if that'll work for anybody else, and if everybody else has all these layers. I assume everybody does, but again, that's my story. But it's every time something came up, I wanted to tell a story. And only when I could shift all the stories and stick with the physical sensations did it finally go away.
Great, James. How did it feel to be awake for a moment?
Wow. I never thought of it that way. It was calm. It was a different perspective. It allowed me to step away from the stories. And I've been doing that for the whole rest of the week. Basically, things have been coming up and I'm going, well, that's a story. You know, somebody cuts you up when you're driving and you want to get angry. Well, that's the story.
So James, you know? forget the past. How does it feel to be awake?
Oh, I'm not awake.
Oh.
That's a story.
Yes.
No. That's not a story for James. That's the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Well, actually, you say right on a slightly more serious note.
No, let's not get
was
serious.
very serious.
Well, okay. There's all these stories, and the superficial ones, the ones that I'm telling myself, were obvious to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, oh, my daughter's upset, you know, and what have I done to upset her, or whatever. There's all stories. I can see all of those. I could shift those, shift them. and I ended up with this layer of concrete that is me. That's why I say I'm not awake, because that one, although I've seen intellectually that I don't make my decisions, that things just happen, and I genuinely mean that, and you know, all the pointers, and I've seen it, but there hasn't been that visceral whatever it is.
Can I be very direct? You're lying.
I'm sure you're true.
No. Listen, what happened when you saw Shaheen? You picked up something that was beyond story. You felt what Shaheen was feeling, and you pointed it out to us.
Oh, it just seemed obvious at that moment. It was just
is that
obvious.
So, were you asleep or were you awake?
I don't know.
Because
go on.
I was going to add something, James, because if you have the thought that the consciousness that's aware of those subtleties is your patterned personality, and you haven't realized that the consciousness is separate from your patterned personalities, because you're starting to see your patterned personalities as stories and sensations. So the aware consciousness that's seeing those patterns and personalities, you're not your patterns and personalities, so what's left?
These questions are so... Go on, you first.
Don't think about it, feel it. Feel what Jenny was saying. Feel it.
Yes, what Jenny's saying felt right.
So if you're your awareness and you're not those patterns that you're looking at, and you can look at the sensations, and you don't confuse yourself or identify with those personality patterns, then what's left is pure conscious awareness. And that's awake. You know you're pure conscious awareness, not your patterns, because you can see them, but you can't see awareness. So that's not an object. Awareness is not an object. It's who you are.
I don't know what to say. Stay there. Don't say anything. Just stay there. Sometimes we got to get a bit blunt.
Yeah, talking of blunt, there's a bit of housekeeping to do here. We're coming up for 3 hours, so I'm going to shut this down fairly soon. Terry, I wanted to ask you, this is the first of the month, and normally I would put this on YouTube as public rather than unlisted.
That's okay with me.
You're okay?
I'm good.
Great. Look, everybody, you'll be amazed at how many people will get value out of watching that happen. They will.
Yeah.
And I want to cry even just thinking about it. Yeah. It was great. Thank you.
Terry, it's extraordinary. And there are so many souls who are experiencing what you're experiencing. And this is such a gift, such a gift.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's folks on here in a professional sense who would know a lot more about this than I, but I'm just so grateful to you.
And, you know, I was so into what I was doing. Were you the one who was guiding me, Alan?
I was. Yeah. Well, some of it, there was more than me.
Okay. Well, thanks to you and everyone.
I think that in itself is sheer beauty, that you were so absorbed in your sensations and your own experience, and that's what this is about.
Yeah, we you know, the feathers are interesting in that they are a concept that allows us to look at various layers of selfing and so on. But there's something beyond that, and that stuff is like cellular memory that happens at a pre-verbal stage of our life, or a stage where we've forgotten what's happened because it's so uncomfortable that we've suppressed it. And our cells, our body carries this stuff around. It just affects our whole life, you know, and everybody around us as well. Absolutely brilliant. And the potential for release is just wonderful there. And that's what I saw for you today, Terry, was that potential more than an actual release, just the potential for it. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It was great.
Also, Vince, over the last few weeks that I've been coming, there's been people who have literally faced things that they say are going to kill them beforehand, and they get through it and come out the other side, and they're not dead. You know, I hope I can be that brave if that ever happens to me, because that's just amazing.
That is, it's good stuff. Yeah.
And they come out the other side often with a smile. How are you, Kathleen?
Very good, very good. I wanted to say thank you. This is well, there's no accidents. So I'm here because I'm supposed to be here, and yay.
I'm glad you're here.
Me too.
Even those who've been quiet, I still appreciate your presence. It's great. Yeah.
So Vince, you said you're coming up on 3 hours. So did you guys start 3 hours ago? Because I must not be handling this time change right.
Yeah, you came late, an hour late. Yeah.
An hour late? So you've been on an hour or 3 hours?
Yeah, so for me now it's 10 to 9, and I started at 6 o'clock.
3 hours ago.
Yeah.
Because it's 5 my time, so 2 o'clock at my time, I guess. Okay. I'll check that out.
We just had a change of time in Poland, so I thought it will come together, but it seems I was again an hour late, so I have no idea.
Yeah.
Jenny, I had the same confusion, and I just used one of those time calculators. I don't quite understand it, but sometimes Vince's 6 a.m. meeting is 1 p.m. here on the Pacific coast of the U.S., and sometimes it's noon here. And today it was at 11, which is earlier than ever. I don't know how that is the case.
Yeah, which would be 2 o'clock my time, which is what I was just saying 3 hours ago is 2 o'clock my time because I'm on the East Coast. So I won't be here next week, and because I'll be seeing my daughter, but the weekend after that, I'm going to try 2 o'clock because we just had our time change last night. So I'm thinking.
Yeah, we started at 1 o'clock Central today. Back from an hour, we were starting at 2 o'clock on the other time.
Okay, so it's 2 o'clock Eastern time then. Is that right? Eastern U.S.?
Yes. Okay. 1 o'clock Central for me. And then occasionally we have to account for Vince's time, daylight savings time, but that's later, I think. So you have to kind of keep.
He already did it.
Yeah, he already did it. It's just something to be aware of. Whenever he sends a notice out, you have to look and see if he's talking daylight time or the other time for him in Australia. So there are two time changes you have to be mindful of.
Right. We don't have to worry about that in March. But it is.
Time is an illusion.
I want to agree with somebody else, Terry, who was on the West Coast, because I've always joined at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And now I have to jump 2 hours back. I mean, I don't understand that, but.
Same here. It was 4 o'clock Eastern, and now I'm 2 o'clock Eastern. I'm like, wait, I'm confused. Yeah.
I think a simple way to do this is just key
It's
in,
fine.
just Google Sydney time now, and that'll tell you what time it is.
Oh, Alan, I want to check on that. Sydney time. Some of the things that put the time don't allow for daylight saving.
That's true. However,
So it's Australian Eastern Daylight Time, AEDT.
Right.
Yeah, that time converter you gave us originally, Vince, distinguishes that when anytime I look it up.
Right.
Yeah, the dateful.com didn't distinguish that unless I put it in. It just, when I said local time, it didn't allow for daylight saving. So I've actually changed it
You're
to
there.
a different one. Yeah.
You're there. It's not gonna distinguish for you. It'll distinguish for me because I'm not there.
So is it almost 9 o'clock on Monday?
Correct.
Over there, 9 in the morning?
9 in the
Now
morning.
it is. Yes, now it is here. Yeah.
Mine's right then. All right.
Almost. Yeah.
Yeah. Use that as a reference.
Yeah, this is so confusing. I mean, I went to the FETA meeting yesterday and I turned up an hour late because of the confusion. Yeah, so, yep, I know exactly how it is. Yeah. What happened when we went into daylight saving time, so I used to be 6 a.m. here, and when we went into daylight saving time, it should have turned into 7 a.m., but I stayed at 6 a.m., so I went an hour earlier than we had previously been, because that then suited a lot of you guys' time zones better. Yeah.
I just want to make sure, will this be on the YouTube?
So, well, this will be
Our
on
discussion about time zones.
Oh, okay. It will be.
I think it's very important.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, you're a shocker, Sid.
All right, go home, everybody. I'll see you next week.
Beautiful.
Okay. I love you guys.
Thanks so much, Vince.
Oh, thank you, Al. Everybody.
You're the hub in the wheel at the moment.
Well, I need a bit of grease, maybe.
Yeah.